At 62, I thought I knew everything about desire. Then Zahira walked into my beachside gallery in Santorini, her silver-streaked hair catching the Aegean sunlight, and proved me devastatingly wrong. She didn't believe a woman like me could want a woman like her. So I spent one unforgettable Greek summer showing her exactly how wrong she was. This is the story of how doubt became certainty, how friendship ignited into flame, and how two women who thought their passionate years were behind them discovered they were just beginning. The ceramic vase shattered across my gallery floor at precisely 4:47 p.m. on a Tuesday that would change everything. Christos, I swore, watching 3 months of work explode into azure shards. I am so sorry. The woman's voice carried an accent I couldn't immediately place, something exotic, layered with years of travel. I wasn't looking where I was. Oh no, this is exquisite work. I looked up from my ruined pottery to find possibly the most striking woman I'd seen in years, crouching among the fragments. She had to be close to my age, maybe 60, with rich brown skin that gleamed like polished mahogany, and hair that fell in silver and black waves past her shoulders. High cheekbones, full lips, and eyes the color of aged whiskey regarded my broken vase with genuine distress. "It's fine," I lied, my Greek-Australian accent thickening with irritation. "These things happen." "It's not fine. This is clearly custom work." She stood gracefully, and I noticed she was tall, nearly 6 feet in her sandals. A flowing linen dress in deep burgundy draped her curves. "I insist on paying for it. What was the price?" "It wasn't for sale. It was a commission." Her lovely face crumpled. "Then I'll pay double whatever they were paying. Triple." I should have been angrier. Instead, I found myself studying the elegant lines of her neck, the graceful gestures of her ring-adorned hands. "You're not from around here." "Zahira Amari Chen," she extended her hand. "And no, I'm Moroccan-Singaporean, though I've been living in Portugal for the last decade. I'm renting the villa on the cliff for the summer." Her palm was warm, her grip confident. I held on perhaps a moment too long. "Alessia Kouris, welcome to Santorini." "You're the artist everyone keeps telling me about," Zahira said, her eyes brightening. "The Australian who fell in love with Greek clay." "Guilty." I released her hand reluctantly. "And you're the mysterious woman who bought the Dimitriou place for an obscene amount of money." She laughed, a sound like wind chimes in a Mediterranean breeze. "Also guilty. I needed somewhere to clear my head. My marriage ended rather spectacularly 6 months ago." "I'm sorry." "Don't be. It should have ended 20 years ago." Something flickered in those whiskey eyes. Pain, relief, perhaps liberation. "I'm 61 years old, and I'm finally figuring out who I actually am, instead of who everyone expected me to be." I understood that feeling intimately. After my own divorce at 57, I'd fled Melbourne for Greece, trading a passionless marriage and a corporate law career for clay and sunshine. 5 years later, I'd never been happier or lonelier. "Well, Zahira Amari Chen," I bent to begin collecting the larger shards. "Since you've destroyed my afternoon's work, the least you can do is let me buy you dinner. I know a place in Oya with the best grilled octopus you've ever tasted." She crouched beside me, carefully gathering pieces. "Is this how you treat all the tourists who destroy your art?" "Only the beautiful ones." The words escaped before I could stop them. Zahira's hands stilled. When she looked up, something electric passed between us. A recognition, a question, a possibility. "I should warn you," she said softly. "I'm terrible company lately. I cry at sunsets, drink too much wine, and I'm questioning everything I thought I knew about myself." "Perfect," I smiled. "I'm 62, I talk to my cat in Greek, and I haven't had a proper conversation with another human in weeks. We'll be disasters together." She laughed again, and this time it reached her eyes. "Dinner sounds lovely, but Alicia?" "Yes?" "I wasn't watching where I was going because I was staring at you through the window." You have the most incredible hands I've ever seen. My breath caught. Covered in clay and calluses? Creating beauty, she corrected. It was mesmerizing. We knelt there among the broken pieces of my vase, the late afternoon sun painting everything gold, and I felt something shift in my chest, something that had been dormant for so long I'd forgotten it existed. 7 o'clock? I managed. I'll be here at 6:30, Zahira said. I'm rarely fashionably late. It's a flaw. I'll consider it a virtue. As she left, I watched her walk down the narrow street, hips swaying, completely unconscious of her own magnetism. My cat, Aristotle, emerged from his hiding spot behind the kiln. Ari, I whispered, I think I'm in trouble. He meowed his agreement, and I couldn't help but smile. Zahira arrived at 6:15 wearing a white silk blouse that contrasted beautifully with her skin and cream linen trousers that made her legs look impossibly long. I'd changed 3 times before settling on a cobalt blue sundress that my friend Katerina swore made my gray-green eyes fucking luminous. You look stunning, we said simultaneously, then laughed at the coincidence. The restaurant in Oya was everything I'd promised, perched on the caldera's edge with views of the volcano and the endless Aegean. We secured a table on the terrace just as the sun began its descent, painting the white buildings in shades of honey and rose. Tell me something true, Zahira said once we'd ordered wine and meze. Not the tourist version, something real. I considered her request, swirling the crisp Assyrtiko in my glass. I came to Greece to escape a life that looked perfect on paper but felt like suffocating. My ex-husband was a good man, but we were performing a marriage, not living one. We had forgotten how to see each other. How long were you married? 32 years. I took a sip of wine. You? 35. To a brilliant surgeon who loved his work more than breathing and barely noticed I existed unless I was hosting his colleagues or organizing his life. She looked out at the sea. We had 3 children, 6 grandchildren, and absolutely nothing to say to each other. Do you miss it? The life, I mean. God, no. She turned back to me, eyes fierce. I miss who I thought I'd become. I miss the version of myself I'd planned for. But the actual life? It was a beautiful cage, and I was dying inside. The octopus arrived, perfectly charred, glistening with olive oil and lemon. We ate and talked as the sky deepened from pink to purple to indigo. She told me about growing up between Marrakesh and Singapore, about her mother's Moroccan family and her father's Chinese heritage, about feeling like she belonged everywhere and nowhere. I told her about Melbourne winters and Greek summers, about discovering clay at 57 and feeling like I'd finally found my language. Do you have children? She asked. No. We tried for years, then accepted it wasn't happening. In hindsight, it might have been our body's wisdom. I paused. Do you see yours often? Her face clouded. My eldest daughter isn't speaking to me. She thinks I destroyed the family by leaving her father. My son is supportive but confused. My youngest... She smiled slightly. My youngest said, finally, when I told her. Smart kid. She's 32 and recently came out as bisexual. I think she recognized something in me that I was still denying. The air between us shifted, charged with unspoken meaning. And what were you denying? I asked softly. Zahira met my gaze directly. That I've spent my entire life attracted to women and convincing myself it was just admiration. That every close female friendship I've had was probably something more that I was too frightened to acknowledge. That I married a man because it was expected, comfortable, safe, and it cost me decades of authenticity. My heart hammered. That takes courage to admit. Does it? Or is it just incredibly late self-awareness? She leaned forward. Alessia, can I ask you something personal? Please. Earlier when you said I was beautiful, were you flirting with me? I could have deflected, could have laughed it off. Instead, I chose truth. Yes. Have you with women before? Yes, in Australia, before my marriage, and a few times during. My ex-husband and I had an understanding eventually, though we never discussed it directly. I held her gaze. And you? Never. Not even a kiss. She looked vulnerable suddenly, younger. I wouldn't know how to begin. Is that what you want? To begin? I don't know what I want. I just know that when you looked at me in your gallery, I felt something I've never felt with any man, not even in the early days with my husband. She twisted her wine glass. It terrified me. That's why I knocked over your vase. I was completely undone by a look. I reached across the table, placed my hand over hers. There's no rush, Zahira. No expectations. What if I don't know what I'm doing? Then you learn. We learn together. I smiled. I may have more experience, but every person is different. Every connection is new. She turned her hand over, lacing her fingers through mine. Her touch sent electricity up my arm. I've read articles, watched videos, tried to educate myself, but it all feels so abstract. Because it's not about technique, I said gently. It's about presence, attention, genuine desire. Everything else flows from that. The waiter brought our main courses, sea bream for her, lamb cleftico for me, and we reluctantly separated our hands. But something had been established, a declaration made without formal words. Tell me about your first time with a woman, Zahira said as we ate. So I told her about Simone, a French painter I'd met at an art. Kissing Zahira was like tasting wine for the first time after years of water, a revelation of complexity, depth, sensation I'd forgotten existed. She was tentative at first, uncertain, and then she melted into me with a small sound that went straight to my core. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, she pressed her forehead to mine. "Oh," she whispered. "Oh." "Yeah," I managed. It's never felt like that." "Like what?" "Like my entire body was waking up after a very long sleep." She pulled back slightly, eyes wide and dark. Like I was finally doing something I was meant to be doing. I cupped her face gently. "We can stop here. Take time to process." "I don't want to stop," she interrupted. "But I also don't know what I'm doing, and I'm terrified of disappointing you." "Zahira, listen to me." I held her gaze. "There's no way to do this wrong. If we're both present, both wanting this, both communicating, that's all that matters." "Will you?" She swallowed. Will you show me? Not tonight necessarily, but whenever you're ready." She kissed me again, more confident this time, her hand sliding into my hair. I let her control the pace, responding to her cues, keeping my own urgency in check. When she traced my lower lip with her tongue, experimenting, I opened for her and felt her shiver against me. We ended up on the sofa in my studio, kissing like teenagers, exploring the geography of each other's faces, necks, collarbones. I kept my hands respectful, her waist, her back, her hair, until she took my wrist and deliberately placed my palm on her breast. "Is this okay?" she asked, breathless. "Zahira, you never have to ask permission for me to touch you this way. But I'll always ask you, is this what you want?" "Yes. God, yes." I kissed down her throat as I gently explored the weight of her breast through silk, felt her nipple harden beneath my palm. She arched into the touch, hands clutching my shoulders. "Too much?" I murmured against her skin. "Not enough," she gasped. "But I think I need to stop here tonight." I'm overwhelmed in the best way, but I need to process. Immediately, I pulled back, putting space between us. Of course. She looked almost disappointed by my instant compliance. You're not frustrated? No, well, yes, but in a I'm incredibly attracted to you way, not in a you owe me something way. I smiled. Zahira, I'm 62 years old. I've learned patience. I'm 61 and apparently just learning everything. She stood, smoothing her clothes. Her lips were swollen from our kisses, her hair slightly mussed. Can I see you tomorrow? I'd like that. Maybe we could spend the day together. I want to know you beyond this, beyond the physical attraction. Come to my studio at 10. Bring clothes you don't mind ruining. Are we making pottery? If you want, or we can just talk while I work. Either way, you'll probably end up covered in clay. She smiled, brilliant and genuine. I'll be here. At my door, she kissed me once more, soft and sweet. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your courage. After she left, I poured myself an ouzo and sat on my small balcony, looking out at the lights of Fira twinkling across the caldera. Aristotle jumped onto my lap, purring. She's something special, isn't she, Ari? He head-butted my chin in agreement. I thought about the way Zahira had kissed me, the wonder in it, the discovery. After years of practiced seduction and experienced lovers, there was something profoundly moving about being someone's first. Not just her first woman, but perhaps her first genuine desire, her first authentic want. The responsibility of that wasn't lost on me. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Is it normal to still feel your lips on mine? To want to turn around and come back? Z, I smiled, typing back. Completely normal. And my door's always open. But I'm glad you're taking time. See you at 9:45. I'll be early. It's a flaw, remember? Z, I'll have coffee ready. A. I sat there until the stars emerged, until the last fairy lights disappeared across the dark water, until Aristotle got bored and went to hunt moths. And I let myself feel something I hadn't allowed in years: hope. The next morning she arrived at 9:30, even earlier than threatened, carrying a bag of still warm bugazza from the bakery. Peace offering for being absurdly punctual, she said, slightly breathless like she'd rushed. You brought custard pie. You're forgiven for everything, past and future. We ate on the balcony, drinking strong Greek coffee and watching the morning fairies arrive. In daylight, I could study her properly, the laugh lines around her eyes, the elegant length of her fingers, the way morning sun turned her skin luminous. You're staring, she said without looking away from the view. You're worth staring at. I'm 61 with gray hair and wrinkles and absolutely stunning, I interrupted. Do you know what I see when... My apartment above the gallery was small but carefully curated. All white walls and natural light with textiles from my travels and pottery from local artists. But Zahira noticed none of that. Her eyes were only on me. I'm nervous, she admitted, standing in my bedroom doorway. So am I. You? But you've done this? I've never done this with you, I said, approaching her slowly. Every person is different. Every first time is exactly that, a first time. I'm nervous because I want this to be good for you, because you matter to me already. Her eyes softened. I matter to you? You walked into my gallery yesterday and destroyed a vase. By this morning, you destroyed something far more important, the walls I'd built around myself. I took her hands. So, yes, Zahira, you matter. She kissed me, and this time there was no hesitation. We undressed each other slowly, reverently. When her blouse fell away, revealing bronze skin and black lace, I had to pause just to look. You're extraordinary, I whispered. I'm 61 and gravity has had its way. You're a woman in her power. and that's the sexiest thing in the world. I traced the curve of her shoulder, the swell of her breast, the indentation of her waist. She shivered under my touch, and when I reached behind her to unhook her bra, she helped me, letting it fall. Perfect, I breathed and meant it. She reached for my dress and I let her undress me, watching her face as she discovered my body, the freckles across my shoulders, the small scar from a pottery accident, the softness of my belly. "You're beautiful," she said with wonder, "like a Renaissance painting, all curves and strength and realness." We moved to the bed and I took my time, mapping her body with hands and mouth, learning what made her gasp, what made her arch, what made her whisper my name like an incantation. She was responsive beyond my wildest hopes. Her inexperience with women meaning she had no preconceptions, no comparisons, just pure present sensation. When I finally settled between her thighs, I looked up to find her watching me, breathless and beautiful. "I want to taste you," I said. "Is that okay?" "I've never... No one has ever..." She swallowed. "Please." I started slowly, listening to her body's responses, adjusting based on the sounds she made, the way her hips moved, the tension in her thighs. When I found the rhythm that made her cry out, I maintained it, building her higher and higher until she shattered, her hands in my hair, my name on her lips like a prayer. Afterward, I held her while she trembled, kissing her shoulder, her neck, her tear-streaked face. "I didn't know," she whispered. "I didn't know it could feel like that." Like what? Like being wholly, completely present in my own body. Like every nerve ending was finally awake. Like I was enough exactly as I am. I kissed her softly. "You've always been enough." She rolled to face me, eyes fierce. "Show me. Show me how to do that for you." "You don't have to." "I want to. Please. I want to know you that way." So I guided her, patient and encouraging, as she explored my body with the same focused attention she'd given to the clay earlier. She was tentative at first, asking questions, seeking guidance, and then, as she gained confidence, she became bolder, more intuitive. When she finally made me come, it was with a combination of fingers and tongue and sheer determination that left me boneless and amazed. "Was that? Did I do okay?" she asked, slightly anxious. I pulled her up to kiss her, tasting myself on her lips. "You did far better than okay. You're a very quick study." She smiled, brilliant and proud. "I'm motivated." We spent the afternoon in bed, talking and touching, dozing and exploring. She told me about her children, her complicated relationship with her mother, her dreams of designing a textile collection that honored both her heritages. I told her about my sister who still didn't understand why I'd thrown away my legal career, about my father who'd been a sculptor and would have understood completely if he'd lived to see it. As the sun began to set, painting my white walls gold, she propped herself on an elbow and looked at me seriously. "I had doubts," she said, "about who I was, about what I wanted, about whether it was too late to become someone new. And now? Now I have certainty, not about everything. I'm still figuring out so much, but about this, about wanting to explore this side of myself with you." She smiled. No doubts at all. I kissed her, slow and deep. "I'm glad I could provide proof. The best kind of proof." She traced my collarbone. "What happens now? I'm only here for the summer." "Then we have the summer," I said simply. "We don't have to figure out forever right now. We just have to be present for today." I like that philosophy. It's Greek wisdom. We invented it after all. She laughed, the sound filling my small room with joy. "Teach me more Greek wisdom." "Well, 3 months later, as autumn painted Santorini in deeper golds, Zahira extended her villa rental through winter, then spring, then indefinitely. I thought you were just here for the summer, I teased, watching her set up a textile studio in the room adjacent to my gallery. I was, she said, crossing the space to wrap her arms around me. But then I found something, someone, worth staying for. Her daughter visited in October, the one who'd said, finally. Over wine and my famous moussaka, she told her mother, I've never seen you this happy, this alive. Zahira squeezed my hand under the table. I've never been this happy, this alive. We didn't have all the answers. Her other children were still adjusting. My sister still called my choices impulsive. The future remained beautifully uncertain, but we had certainty where it mattered, in the way our bodies fit together, in the conversations that lasted until dawn, in the art we created side by side, in the love that grew deeper with each passing day. She had doubts. I proved her wrong. And in the proving, we both discovered that it's never too late to become who you were always meant to be. Have you ever discovered something about yourself later in life that changed everything? Share your story in the comments. Your journey might inspire someone else to embrace their truth. And if this story moved you, don't keep it to yourself. Someone you know might need to read this today. Share it with them. Sometimes the greatest gift we can give is permission to begin again. What would you do if you could start over? Tell me below.